This is Hard Facts.
8 minutes gone past the 5 o'clock hour, officially welcoming you to the Big Hard Facts. This is the nation's #1 talk news and sports radio station. We're broadcasting live from our audio-visual studios right here in Itami and Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. My name is Maryann Okon. I did tell you that we would continue our conversation on insecurity and insurgency on the 5 o'clock hour. And today on Hard Facts, we confront the dark and growing reality, which is obviously the rising wave in killings across the country. And of course, these are mostly attached to, terror attacks, whether it be in the north, in the middle belt, even down south here. It's spread across the country from Benue to Plateau, Edo to Borno, Zamfara to Ondo. Hundreds of Nigerians have been killed in recent months, communities wiped out, children orphaned, villages abandoned, while the violence rages on with alarming consistency. The Tinubu administration says it is working to secure the nation, but many Nigerians are actually saying otherwise. They accuse the government of politicizing the war on terror and lacking the political will to act decisively. Even the National Assembly's call for a security summit has been met with public skepticism. A lot of people have said, well, we do not need another Tea Party. We need more decisive actions. Well, joining me to have this conversation this evening is a friend of the house and one we love to listen because he always comes to us with statistics. I have Dr. Kabir Adamu, the Managing Director of Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited, joining us live on Zoom. It's so good to have you join us, Mr. Adamu. Good evening and thank you for coming on Hard Facts.
My pleasure, Maryann. Always nice to be here. Unfortunately, as usual, the topic is not a very nice one, sadly.
Unfortunately, it's not. Let's just start with an overview of this conversation. And I know that you and so many other people who have continuously given your expertise on this issue must be really wary of having the same conversations over and over again. But unfortunately, we must have this conversation. In the last few months, we've seen a surge in insecurity attacks across Borno, Benue, Edo, Plateau, Zamfara, most recently even Ondo State. From your analysis, what do you think is really driving this current wave of violence? Because it seems to be going up and up every single day.
Yeah, thank you. Let me start with a foundation, just to give us a picture of where we are, and then I will go to your question. We released our April report in the first week of May 2025, and in that April report, it showed that 1,092 persons were killed in the country within that one month. It also showed that 1,178 persons were abducted within that 1 month from April 1 to April 30th, 2025. Now, the worrisome thing is, Maryann, is if you add from January 1st to April 30th, it gives you a figure of that for fatalities of 4,702 persons being killed within those 4 months, January 1st to April 30th, 2025. That's for fatalities. Now, if we go to abduction, the figure for the 4 months from January 1st to April 30th is 3,739 persons being killed, being abducted, in Nigeria within that period. But the more worrisome fact is the increase, the month-to-month increase in abduction. So what we saw in April, like I said earlier on, we recorded 1,178 abductions in that period. But the more worrisome thing is the percentage increase from March to April. In March, we recorded 806. And so if you now calculate the percentage compared to this 1,178 abductions, you have 46.15% increase in just 1 month. And the more disturbing thing is the spread in these abductions from the traditional locations in the northern part of the country. Like you rightly indicated, we started seeing an increase in places like Ondo State. Of course, the borderline areas between Kogi and Kwara, between Kogi and Ondo State, and then in Niger State. So this is kind of the picture. that we saw within that period, starting from January up until the end of April. Now, one of the major reasons for this very unfortunate picture is, number one, there seemed to be a power vacuum. And I say this with all sense of responsibility. It may not have been planned, but it's what exactly happened. You recall our president traveled out of the country for work purposes, and he was out for 19 days. He was in France and then later in the UK, even though it was said that he was working. But the fact that the security governance, and that's an entirely different knowledge area. Security governance is different from administration. Security governance was a bit lull in that period when he was away. That period also coincided, Maryann, with when the National Assembly was on its extended recess. So while the executive was also kind of quiet during that period, the legislature was also quiet. So clearly there was that huge gap. The second element is the early politicking for 2027 that has commenced. Apparently, politicians have started beating the drums for 2027. So that in itself is triggering the activities of non-state armed groups. And so you are seeing more of their criminal activities across different locations. And this is a pattern that we see in Nigeria almost all over. The third point is the dislocation of the criminal elements, what we call the non-state armed groups. There is an intensification of security force operation. Military operations have intensified. Almost all the security organizations in the country have intensified their operations, and they are killing the bandit commanders. We must commend the military for that. The NDLA is doing an amazing job, and a few others are doing amazing jobs. The SSS, the police have been making arrests. So that is leading to a dislocation from traditional locations where these security forces are concentrating their operations in places like Borno, in Zamfara, parts of Kabir, Sokoto, and they are now moving downwards towards the southern part of the country. And so that's why you are seeing new locations like in Ondo State and parts of Kwara State. You're seeing that the kind of incidents that we recorded within the period that I spoke about earlier. So these are some of the reasons for the as it were, resurgence of attacks. Of course, the traditional reasons, which have always been there, they are not new, is the inability of the country to implement fully the instruments that we have for managing our security challenges, that are applauded by the world. But for some odd reasons, we are not implementing them fully. One is the National Security Strategy, which was launched in 2016. The second one is the Policy Framework on Countering Violent Extremism, launched in 2017. And then the third one is our national, the law on terrorism, the prohibition and prevention law on terrorism, which was amended in 2022. These three instruments, in addition to the policies that we have, such as our the defense policy and several other security policies, are good instruments. But unfortunately, we are not implementing them fully. And sadly, the National Assembly, the legislature, that should be putting pressure on the executive arm of government to ensure this implementation, are not doing so at the moment. Like you said in your introduction, instead of looking at their area, they are currently discussing a summit. And frankly, I am one of those who think that summit is misplaced. Instead, they should strengthen their legislative instruments, including oversight, budgetary oversight, and operational oversight. We see what happens in the US. If the Congress is having a hearing and inviting the security chiefs, everybody is shaking, even the military general. But we don't see that in Nigeria. So these are some of the reasons why where we are. I can speak a little bit more around our inability to stop the bad guys from generating funding for their activities, our inability to firing weaponry, and then our inability to stop them from recruiting new members. All of these are contributory elements to why we're where we are, in spite of the significant attention that has been given to security by the Tinubu administration. I'm one of the few persons who would always say that based on the renewed hope agenda, the president has a beautiful plan for improving security.
On paper.
And that plan is commended, from
on paper.
Unfortunately, however, the implementation has been a bit weak. So yes, the theory is good, what has been written is good, but then when it comes to implementation, we're seeing huge gaps, sadly.
I listened to you carefully because I wanted to ask a totally different question, but I listened carefully because I wanted to be sure if I should ask that question or not. But then you have said consistently inability, and I want to take you up on it. Is it inability or unwillingness? Because you've also said in another breath that, look, there are great ideas on the table. This administration came in with fantastic ideas on how to win this war, but then the implementation has stalled. Is it a lack of will, politically and otherwise, or is it just that it's not doable? Is it that it's overwhelming? Is it that security forces are overwhelmed? The people who work in the Tinubu administration who have oversight functions to deal with this issue, are they bereft of ideas? What exactly is it that we can actually put our finger on?
I think it's a combination of the two things. On the one hand, there are areas where we feel the capacity of the individuals who are occupying that position could have been better. National security has three levels: the strategic level, the tactical level, and the operational level. Now, you have, sadly, in Nigeria of today, under the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, we have individuals who are occupying those strategic positions. So anyone in a coordinating function is occupying the strategic position. But then you have them more interested in operational matters. When they are reeling out their statistics, all they will tell you is, oh, we've killed this commander, we've killed that commander. They will not tell you the strategic plans that they have either initiated or they have perfected to improve national security. So that's number one. Number two is the inability for I spoke about security governance earlier on. We still don't appreciate the value of security governance in Nigeria. Just to give you an example, Maryann, there is the National Security Council. Is the highest body for security matters in the country. It's meant to advise the president, as it were, on public security matters. To my knowledge, under this administration, I don't think that council has sat down more than once, maximum maybe twice. I'm sure of once, but I'm not sure of the second one. So that's the challenge. Ideally, that council should be sitting at least monthly, if not monthly, then quarterly. And because of the extent of national security challenges that we're having, that council should have been sitting like almost every time.
Every week.
And then evaluate. As soon as there is a major security issue, just to give you an example, when the Delta State incident happened, that's a major security issue. Edo State incident. Yeah. Yes, Edo, because it touched on the two tectonic templates that could divide this country, which is ethnicity and religion. But thanks to the governor, I think he did very well in managing that situation. That the council should have sat in that period to evaluate where we were, and then of course advocate for responses. So that's and then for all these developments that are happening in Benue, in Plateau, in Zamfara, name them, Kabir, Sokoto, and several other parts of the country. These are human beings that are dying. I just gave you the statistics. More than 4,000 people have died with this period of 4 months. So that's problem number two. Problem number three, which is the elephant in the room, is the inability to hold accountable members of the security sector. Maryann, if you, just to give you an example with your studio, I hope I'm not coming too close to home. There are responsibilities within the studio. If the microphone that you're using to speak fails you, number one, and fails you, number two, I'm almost certain whoever is the studio manager would either be held responsible, or whoever is the sound person responsible for that will be held accountable. In our own case, 4,000 people have died and not a single person has been held accountable. That's not acceptable. So these are some of the reasons. Of course, we can look down at the various layers. Even ourselves as Nigerians, we do have responsibility. As a family member, if you are a father or a mother and you don't give the right training to your child, you encourage your child to break the law, or you don't serve as an example or you are, the owner of a religious place of worship, and you encourage criminality, which sadly is happening. And you, by that, I mean not tacitly, inadvertently, by calling for donations without asking where the money is coming from, or even honoring criminality in very dubious ways and things like that. Or you have a school and then you abandon your role as one of education, and you are encouraging aspects that are leading to criminality. And unfortunately, that is happening at the moment in the country. So there are various layers to this challenge. I spoke earlier on about the highest layer, which is with the government. But when we start looking down, there are also our contribution as Nigerians, as citizens. I did a research not too long ago in the south of the country. It was based on an inter-community clash between two villages. And I got to find out, Maryann, that residents of those villages were asked to pay levies and dues. People, the traditional rulers and the others, will collect those dues. And anytime there is that communal violence, they would have purchased weapons to give to the youths, and that the youths will either use it to protect the village or kill the other villages. And then some part of the money would now be used after the communal incidents. If they arrest any of those youths or any of the individuals from those villages, they will now attempt to bribe the security agents. This is the fact. It's not. I'm not cooking this up. Believe me, it's happening in several parts of Nigeria.
Wow.
At the moment.
We need to go on a break. When we go back, we need to talk more about this, because half the time when we talk about our responsibility and the role that we play in some of these dastardly acts, we seem to, play the saints. But now that you have done this research, is worth digging, into. In case you're just joining us, the program is Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. We still have Dr. Kabir with us, and we're looking at the rising tensions across the country, the fact that many people are dying. Not just that, our soldiers also are falling. And something obviously has to give. But what is that something? We'll be right back after this break.
This is Hard Fact.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Hey there, mums and dads. Did you know that some children are picky eaters and also do not get enough fruits and vegetables from their diet? Well Kid Baby and Infant Syrup is a food supplement from Vitabiotics that contains 14 vitamins and minerals, including vitamin C and zinc, as well as flaxseed oil, which supports brain development and all-round health. Well Kid Baby and Infant Tasty Syrup is for children 3 months to 5 years of age. Give your young ones a good start with Well Kid Baby and Infant from Vitabiotics UK. Available in pharmacies near you.
Oh yeah, pay your money from the back. I beg, I don't get change, yo.
Conductor, take the money.
And I don't come again. Where I won't find change for this big money now?
Okay, just take the money.
Auntie, I don't get change, yo. If you know say you don't get change, you better come down now.
Calm down, boss. No need for change. I go pay for everybody inside this bus. Plus you and the driver, sir.
Cash, madam. You get money, yo.
No be so. I just want to share the goodness. In fact, soft drink. Bring one Malta Guinness for everybody.
It's always a good time to share goodness and spread positivity. Malta Guinness. Enjoy a world of good.
Hey, whoa! Now so I did on my own. Now a message enter my phone. Fiam. I can't click Fiam. Now so my money for account go. Fiam. Hey! If to say na Airtel you they use, them for first alert you before you click Airtel they identify spammers. Then alert them customers with AI powered service to make sure say you know for Mugu for Wuru scam messages. No charges, no subscription needed. Me self they go join Airtel. Fiam.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
West Africa. Get ready to build, innovate, and elevate. From the elegance of ceramics to the precision of construction. From the flow of advanced water systems to the refreshing breeze of cutting-edge air conditioning. It's the LN Expo West Africa Construction Week, the 9th edition of the Build Expo, West Africa's construction exhibition, and the 8th Mega Clima HVAC and R Expo for all things cooling and refrigeration. Live at the Landmark Event Center, Lagos, from Tuesday, May 20th to Thursday, May 22nd, 2025, starting daily at 10 a.m. LN Expo Construction Week is where the future of construction in West Africa takes shape. Be a part of it. Entry is free. Register at www.ellenexpo.net. It's massive and it's the future of West Africa's construction development. Ellen Expo Construction Week, bringing the world to West Africa. This taste na banga. This taste na creamy rich. This taste na new Nescafe. Original 3-in-1. Thickness, enjoyment, yumminess, happiness, delightfulness, deliciousness, smoothness. This taste na new Nescafe. Original 3-in-1.
Enjoy more creamy richness with the new Nescafe Original 3-in-1 in the new pack. That's strong. Finish strong.
Topisto tomato mix don't show. Topisto tomato mix na tomato mix where Mohan Agro Foods they produce. Them they produce am for Calabar for Cross River State. It dey inside a very beautiful 70-gram sachet and na 50 sachet it dey inside 1 carton. It dey thick and tasty, and if you use and take cook stew, jollof rice, sauce, egusi, spaghetti, eforiro, and water better correct wakis them. Wetin make Topisto tomato mix different? Na the taste, and you fit find am for all leading supermarket and for any market where they near you. If you want make them supply you or you want be distributor,
Make you call 0704 800 0558 or 0803 570 0177.
Topisto tomato mix. The difference, not the taste.
Oh, what did happen now? No bonus for all my line.
No panic, as MTN don't carry better gist come. Every 6 minutes you talk, MTN go dash you 3 extra minutes. Fiam to enter MTN better gist. Dial *123 *2 *1 hash or text BG to 312. T and C's apply.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development and the care they need with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics to help your child's digestion and development, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. And all of these work together to support your child's development and growth today and tomorrow. NanKid 4. Nourish your child's potential.
Mr. Teacher, please, what happens when children come to school? How is it that they leave home very neat and return looking so different?
Non-stop action, ma. All the learning and sports burn energy. So those sweat stains, dirty uniforms and shoes, they show that your kid has been very active.
Now, wow.
Your kids need nourishing energy. Give them Milo at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo!
Update!
Extra value don't land though. We don't reserve now. We don't reserve. Your 50cl Coca-Cola don't turn to 60cl. Yes now. Now 20% more refreshment, plenty enjoyment with the same Obonge Coca-Cola taste. Not carry last though. Sharply go grab your new 60cl Coca-Cola today. Make you enjoy better refreshment. This now extra value with the same Obonge taste. Coca-Cola, real wonder. Even Fanta and Sprite say follow for this one oh.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
This is Hot Facts on Nigeria Info 99.3 FM. My name is Shegwarinze.
All right, we're back. It's still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'm Maryann Okon. I still have Dr. Kabir Adamu with us, and we're looking at the obvious elephant in the room, which is the ongoing killings, attacks, kidnappings across the country. And of course, it doesn't play down in any way the fact that people are dying, but then it's more alarming when our soldiers are dying also. These are the people who are supposed to protect us and protect our territories, and if these people are being killed, then something must be done. Well, we've been talking about what's at the core of the insecurity that we're facing in the country as a whole, but then we're looking at decisive actions and why it seems that government is not up to it when it comes to dealing with insecurity. And before we went on that break, Dr. Adamu was telling us about the research he did in the south region of the country, where we also have a role to play in these dastardly acts. Doctor, before we went on that break, you were telling us about monies. Did the people who were contributing in these communities know what the monies were for? Were they told about what these monies were going to be used for? Because the question obviously is, I'm asking this question because I want to know if they are actually willful participators or participants, I beg your pardon, in this whole process.
Sadly, yes, Maryann. And the reason is because public security has deteriorated. I'm sure you've monitored the increase in calls for self-help, as it were. So most of the people are aware. Because these issues are deep-rooted, land-related issues are deep-rooted. So it's very easy, for instance, especially where public security has deteriorated, for people to contribute to protecting their land, as it were. So yeah, the indirect response to your answer, it is in your question rather, the answer is yes, they were aware.
Wow. So can we also say that these things are being done because there is, like you said at the beginning, a lapse in government's presence in dealing with this issue? And is there the danger of these things erupting everywhere else if government is not seen to be doing what they should do in dealing with these issues?
So definitely, the greatest challenge that we have at the moment is the collapse of public security systems. That collapse is breeding self-help and the inadvertent militarization of communities. The more public security fails, the more vigilantism increases. And this vigilantism at the moment is not guided properly. And so you see practices that are outside our judicial systems that are occurring, extrajudicial killings, human rights abuses, and all of that increasing. So it's a very sad paradox. On the one hand, failing public security systems, and then on the other hand, the rise in vigilantism. And my greatest concern is the call for the rise in this vigilantism is coming from very good quarters. You have respected persons who should know better actually calling for this rise in vigilantism. And there is no country, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, where vigilantism and its rise has meant well for the future of that country. No. It may give us temporary reprieve, but because of the nature of our conflict, Maryann, and people don't like to hear this, but it's the truth. Our conflict is mostly identity-based. Mostly. There are certain criminal acts that are pure criminality, but a significant number of our conflicts are identity-based. There are groups on the one hand and another group on the other hand that are struggling over different things. It could be land, it could be some form of resources, it could be even political power, or sometimes even economic power. And so if you arm such groups, it means what they will do is they will start fighting the other side. And because that other side will not fold their arms and watch themselves being killed, they will also arm themselves, either legally or illegally. And so at the end of the day, you would have a situation until terror is balanced, then you have more people being killed. So vigilantism is never going to augur well for our future.
I don't know if let me push you further, because I've had several people come talk about this issue, whether it's in Plateau, it's in Katsina, it's in Borno, especially for the banditry. They're saying that this whole nomenclature thing is the problem that's at the core of these killings, that it is purely criminal. What is happening? It's a land grab. It's an ethnic cleansing. It's also, I remember I had a former member of the House of Representatives, who's also a former journalist, who said that there's a lot more of radicalization and hate that has, bred these killings over the years. But that because we give them all kinds of names, unknown gunmen, bandits, cattle rearers and blah, 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 that is why it's continued to fester. Do you agree or disagree?
So I agree, but there is no absolute truth in science, the manner that's been done. I say that just because, for instance, that analysis is true does not also mean that there are other reasons, as an example. And our great challenge as a country is our inability to disaggregate these reasons. So just because someone then because someone who believes it's ethnic cleansing or land grabbing will automatically disagree with that other person. But it's not necessarily true that both of them are wrong. It's very likely all correct. And because as a country, we've been unable to isolate all of these reasons and then deal with them. So I would tell you with all sense of responsibility that the drivers of insecurity in northern Nigeria are multifaceted. They are complex. Giving it one brush of paint to say this is the only reason, you would never solve the challenge. One major issue, as an example, I started by saying that this is an identity-based conflict. The Fulani ethnic group have been so painted to be solely responsible for most of the criminality. And a lot of it has led to stigmatization. It has led to ethnic profiling. It has led to instances where innocent Fulanis have been targeted and killed in several parts of the country. Most people don't realize this. There are between 12.5 million to 30 million Fulani persons in Nigeria. And out of that, only about 100,000 represent the criminal elements among them. So, Maryann, instead of us coming up with a framing that would allow us to allow the over 20 some, depending on what number you go, either 11 million or the 20 something million, to embrace our completely isolating them. So the way to go is to evaluate the challenge. Where there is land grabbing, so deal with it like land grabbing. I always challenge the administrator in the states that say they are land grabbing. What are they waiting for? Why wouldn't they title the land, Maryann? If you title that land, you would have almost completely prevented further land grabbing, because even if they succeed in the immediate, one day, the owner of that land will come and present that I'm the owner of that land. But you are failing your responsibility. You feel it's comfortable for you to give reasons. The other danger is also using religious reasons to attribute it to the killings. It's dangerous in the sense that the victims cut across both religions. There are victims in Muslims, there are victims in Christians. So when you now say it's religious and you're painting it as if only Christians or only Muslims are being killed, you are isolating the other religion from supporting whatever strategy you are doing. So again, a point I'm trying to make is there are a multitude of reasons. Just because one says this is my reason does not mean the other side that says this is another reason is wrong. We have to, as a country, aggregate those reasons, disaggregate them rather, and then understand the contribution of each. And then more importantly, come up with a strategy that a significant number of our population will adopt and agree on the way to solve the problem. If we come up with strategies that isolate significant populations, then we're never going to succeed in solving the challenge. I haven't spoken about the issue of our justice system. It's the major driver.
I was about to ask that question about accountability and prosecution, because over time, so many people have died, so many people have been killed, no single prosecution. In fact, there are people who keep calling for the list that the UAE released to us some time ago. Whatever happened to that list? Nobody probed it. Governments have come and gone. Absolutely nothing has happened. And all we're hearing the National Assembly call for is a tea party, as far as I'm concerned, a security summit, a waste of taxpayers' monies to do something that they don't necessarily have to do. So what do we do to get justice for those who have been slain over the years?
It's to strengthen the justice system. There are different, ramifications of the justice system. The formal justice system, which is the court system. Then you have the transitional justice system, the reparative justice system, and name them. The traditional ones that used to exist before now. So I think we need to find a way to strengthen all of these systems. And I must commend the current Attorney General of the Federation. He's done a lot in an attempt to, enhance our justice system, as it were. But maybe because the issues are just too much. In my local parlance, Hausa, we have a saying that when you are preparing shredded meat and it's too much, oil will never be enough for you. And I think that's the situation we have at the moment. Because the challenge is just so much, his efforts have really not done well. And just yesterday, the former vice president, over the weekend, I heard him speaking about that, and in fact, calling for some very serious transformation and reforms within that system. So if we don't do this, I'll give you an example that people don't really pay attention to. And I'm not in any way justifying the action of the bandits. Most of the bandit commanders, when you engage them, they tell you that the reason why they are in committing the act that they are doing is because of the justice system that has failed them. So if we have such, I mean, when you are coming up with an intervention, you need to listen to this complaint of the other side, whether it is justified, listen to it and then start addressing it. So I've seen instances what are not acceptable in terms of our humanity being committed by the justice system. Wives of persons, especially Fulanis, because their wives are pretty, a judge will dissolve the marriage and then he will end up marrying that same woman. Or the cow will go into a farm, eat the crop of a farm, and then he will now confiscate maybe 100 cows for crops that probably were just worth maybe 100,000 naira. And the next thing you see him pricing those cows that he has confiscated at an amount that would be ridiculous in probably less than that 100,000 naira that has been destroyed. And then he will be the one to buy those livestock through the back door. These are things that are happening in our country that nobody is speaking about, that we need to address. So that's one level of accountability within the justice system. We need to strengthen the capacity of the justice system to arrest and punish offenders, irrespective of their ethnicity, irrespective of their religious leanings or inclination. Beyond that, earlier on, we did speak about accountability of the security sector. That's also another level of accountability. We need to start holding them accountable. If you are responsible for a particular area, and just as an example, the police, for each police formation, there is either a DPO or an AIG that is responsible for a particular area. If there are significant security incidents in those locations, incidences in those locations, those persons must be held accountable. And that's how it must go up across the range. At the moment, Maryann, where everybody in the security sector has complained about our border management system, the porosity of our borders.
That's a conversation for another day. That's a whole show, I must tell you. I've asked the presidential spokesperson here about that, and he just dilly-dallied around it and didn't give me anything. And this is detail for every government office holder.
Interior. It is purview. It's his purview. Even though we commend him on passport, I think in that area he deserves to do better.
There's a lot to be done.
He's not doing very well at all in that area.
Absolutely.
You need to invite him, let him talk to Nigerians about his inability to enhance border security.
Absolutely. Well, Lagos, you could join the conversation. We're talking insecurity. I see that the phone lines are already blinking. 0201-277-0993. That's 0201-277-0993. If you are a lady, call 0201-465-7190. Or you can join the conversation on our live Facebook and YouTube pages, Nigeria Info FM. On WhatsApp, it's 08095975805. We have just 7 minutes on the clock, so please go straight to the point with your question. 60 seconds is all you have. Hello.
Hi, Maryann.
Good evening. Go ahead, please.
Good evening to you and your guests. I woke up to the amusing news of the governor saying to us this morning, Governor Zulum precisely, that we should fast and pray so that insurgency can be nipped in the bud in this country. I find it laughable. I don't know what to just say. But while some may see the president's idea of replacing military expertise with forest guards, I'm a bit apathetical to his line of thought. So, to your guest this evening, the body language of the presidency, does it really show that they want to really fight this insurgency, or are they just merely paying lip service?
Okay.
Where we are supposed to employ intelligence and technical know-how, we pass the buck and tell the masses to pray while scores of people are lying dead on a daily basis. So do you think this presidency or the past one are hands-on on nipping insurgency in the bud?
Thank you very much for calling. We'll put a pin there and take another call. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, Miriam, how are you doing?
I'm good. Go ahead, please.
Jonathan is my name.
Go ahead.
I think, Miriam, there is conspiracy of the executive, of the security, and some top people in this country. Remember the story of Wadume? They arrested some people, and some security people came to kill other security people. That case is under the cooler thing today. Ononuga released a statement to the governor, was it 3 weeks ago? He said they have want this governor to do this. That means they have some information. What are they doing with this information is the issue. So there is a conspiracy, a big conspiracy. Just like you said, Miriam, nobody in the history of this country has been processed. So we can't even jump and start blaming the judiciary. Who has first been arrested? First.
Okay.
That is the issue.
All right. Thank you very much for calling, Jonathan. I do appreciate you. I'm going to let you, Mr. Adamu, respond quickly, and then I'll take a few more calls. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, regarding the first question, for you to understand a cultural leaning, you need to understand the culture. The Governor Zulum's call to his people to pray has some basis in the culture of that area. And that it's not remember my point earlier on about our ability to see the bigger picture. That's just one component of what he's doing. This is a man who left his comfort zone in Maiduguri and is currently, as we're discussing, visiting the frontline local governments. I don't know of any governor who will do that, honestly, as a way of revamping, the morale of his people that have been affected. He went to Marte. Marte has 300 villages. Out of the 300 villages, 299, Maryann, has been taken over by the bad guys. Only one where he visited is still in control of the government, and the governor still went there. He also promised that he would revamp the local security arrangement called civilian JTF. He talked about intelligence gathering. He also talked about increasing the equipment repository of the public security departments in those areas. The prayer is just one component of these several other things that he said he would do. And like I said, we need to understand the culture of the people. And for Jonathan, I didn't really get the question. It sounded more to me like a comment. I don't know if you got the question.
Yeah, it sounded more like a comment too. He was just obviously maybe just making a point. All right, let's take another call quickly. Hello.
Yeah, Maryann, good afternoon.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. You have Mr. Mba online. Concerning the insecurity, please, in any election, just like in Oshu or whatever, you heard that the 15,000 policemen are being deployed. Are you hearing me? Mm-hmm. What happened in all those states like Benue, Southern Kaduna? Why is it that the 20,000 policemen are not deployed there? It's only election. You hear that 20,000 policemen. Election is devalued than a human life. I'm asking the president, I'm asking the chief of staff, I'm asking all the security appellatives. In any election, you hear that 50,000 security are being deployed in one state because of the election. And after you vote them, they swim in the ocean of our wet. And here now, people are being dying in every state. You don't hear 30,000 security or 20,000 security are being deployed. Is it not irony? Is it not shame? Is it not a shame?
All right. Thank you very much for calling. I was hoping for a question there. Hello.
Hello, Maryann. Good afternoon.
Good evening.
My name is John Musa. Please, I want you to help me ask your guest. Why is it that if they arrest terrorists, they don't used to jail them? And why is it that they will settle terrorists, repressor terrorists, with the victims, they don't even care for us? And government is giving them money to treat we that have injuries, and they are not doing it. Why is it that our children that are not in school, government don't care for us? Why is it like that? Help me out.
Joy, great question. And it was one of the questions I was going to end with. This whole idea, bright idea that the army has and the government has also participated. I think it's a stupid thing to do. De-radicalization. Half the time, these people go back. And Joy, who's called us, by the way, is a victim. Her whole family was wiped out in an insurgency some time ago. She's crippled right now because she was shot. And she's saying, how come these terrorists are the ones who get de-radicalize, they give them money, they reintegrate them into society, but the victims get nothing. It's a great question to end the show with. Go ahead, sir.
It is, and my heart goes out to Joy and several other victims of terrorism across the country. But I must also say that the notion that the government is not taking care of the victims, I think it's not exactly correct. Let's even go back when this whole de-radicalization program was created by the Jonathan administration, and incidentally, the then Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is now the WTO DG, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, took that document to the United Nations as one of the General Assemblies, and that the whole program was accepted by the world, and upon which I think about 18 countries decided to fund the program. So it's not a Nigeria-specific program. But having said that, what the subsequent government did, especially the Buhari administration, is to create a new Ministry for Humanitarian Affairs, also created several interventions, including the Safe School Initiative, the several commissions to take care of victims. Now, what I get from the complaints I hear from different Nigerians is that those ministries, those commissions are not effective. They are not serving their purpose. Because if someone like Joy still does not know that they exist, and she's not alone. I hear this from a lot of people, learned and not so learned, complaining that the government is catering to the terrorists and not necessarily to Nigerians. And when I sit back and I look at the platforms that have been created, I know that the government is catering to Nigerians. So the strategic communication component of our counter-terrorism strategy is lacking. If Nigerians don't even realize that the government has created these platforms, then it is lacking. And I think they should hire you, Maryann, to do a little bit of publicity and advocacy for them. Let them understand that these things exist. Nigerians don't know that they exist.
I think so. But if people don't know it exists, it means they're not doing a great job. But I want to thank you, Dr. Kabir Adamu, for doing a great job always. He's the Managing Director of Beacon Security and Intelligence Limited. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for always giving us information and statistics to back it up. This helps us to keep track of what's happening around us and across the nation. Thank you once again for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, Lagos, that's the show. I'll see you tomorrow on Hard Facts. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, MIMIEYO. Up next is the news after this break.
We all prepare for a new day. We prepare for interviews, work presentation.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.